Hey guys, Artosis here, bringing you some more of this team battle between the team of Scan and Motive and HM and nOOB. So far, HM has been kind of dominating with a couple wins on behalf of him and nOOB. We'll see if nOOB can continue that forward. This is going to be a little bit of a tricky cast because the players are the closest colors you can get. It's like a light pink and a peach. So this one here is Motive, and this one up here is nOOB, and you can barely tell them apart. There's no way to switch the colors. You can only get them to yellow. So we can have them both as yellow, which is honestly only slightly worse. But it is what it is. Now, it's a Protoss versus Protoss, right? And Protoss versus Protoss is very hit or miss, I would say. You get a lot of like really quick one-sided build order win PvPs, but then occasionally you get really epic, awesome PvPs. And I want to talk about the map that we're on, because this is Ultimate Stream, and people may not remember this super well. This was actually reasonably popular and being played a lot maybe 1 year ago. Yeah, about 1 year ago. As of right now, but you don't see it too much anymore, and that's just because the balance problem with Zerg. Zerg won just about every single game and every single matchup, even ZVZ on this map. So this map kind of got thrown away, but it's actually a really excellent map for, I would say, Protoss versus Protoss, it probably benefits the most. And let's take a look at why. You have your natural expansion. As you see, there's like just this little, pathway, your natural, and then you have a ramp going down to the rest of the map. And whenever you see something like this where you get what basically amounts to a free base in Protoss versus Protoss, it suddenly makes the matchup amazing. It actually makes it like a lot more like TVT, right? Because TVT you very rarely see end early on, and you can kind of just do stuff and like get bases and play a longer game. It's really hard to kill each other. PvP, it obviously suffers from the opposite of that, but as soon as you have that free base and you can kind of just expand, it takes so much of the guesswork out of the openers and everything. Like, your opponent basically can't just go mass Dragoons and punch up the ramp. Even if you have less Dragoons, you're going to end up winning because of the high ground advantage. So I think Ultimate Stream has potential here to give us a very nice PvP. We do have a Zealot going across, of course. We see the Nexus finishing up. A Zealot is being made, and there's an offensive pylon. So already we do have Motive coming over and looking a little bit dangerous, at least. His Nexus not that slow either. Ooh, offensive pylon going down here as well. Look at that, trapping 3 probes. You can pop a couple of those out if you just hit the stop button. But yeah, this is certainly highly annoying on both sides. Ooh, nice. Gets him stuck there for a moment. And yeah, one thing I do want to mention, one of the best PvPs I've ever seen actually was on this map, which it opened up with very fast expansions, kind of like what you're seeing here, but went into Speed Zealots as well as Reavers, which was like a hilarious thing to see because, again, like the Dragoon's not going to be quite as powerful. We'll see what ends up happening here. Not entirely sure. Zealot coming down here from Motive. He wants to go ahead and bust up that pylon. Of course, we saw the pylon killed off over here already. Man, it is hard to tell them apart, huh? It's kind of crazy. But this looks to be normalizing already, and they're within 1 probe of each other, so even though it was a quicker Nexus on this side, not a big deal. And yeah, let's see what the tech looks like. Ooh, okay, so we already have something that I really didn't expect, which is a very fast Citadel coming out here from Motive. Over on the other side, we don't actually have a tech choice out as of yet. No Dragoon range, of course. That's something that you would always get after expansion normally. But again, you can hold very easily, so not a problem. And we have the robotics coming up. So it looks like nOOB has a pretty good counterplay to the Citadel. But again, you got to kind of weigh in these ramps. So even though like he can have detection, like, you can do things like go into charge and go charge Reaver here, just because the power of Dragoons is muffled quite a bit. We'll see if that's actually the way. Like, I haven't seen that many PvPs on Ultimate Stream. And like I said, it's not as in as much use right now, so yeah, I don't think I'll see too many more after this one, to be honest. Now, the next gateway coming up here for nOOB. Down in Motive Space just has the Templar Archives coming, second gate being made also. Still no range, and range did get started here. Now, it's not useless, of course. Dragoons still can certainly have their use. They're good defensively against shuttles and things like that. They're just good in general. And we have a Forge coming up here for Motive. Okay, so that's going to be his detection, probably a quick +1 as well. A couple Dragoons as well as a Zealot walking out onto the map. Coming up and making sure that his probe does, in fact, get home. This Dragoon already being turned around by nOOB. And we have 2 DTs on the way. Robotics being made as well. Look at how greedy this truly is. It's really fascinating to watch. As soon as you give Protoss players, like, you know, anything in PvP that they can work with, you see really a huge variety in build orders. You know, I've heard people suggest in the past, like, why don't we have like map specific or matchup specific maps, and meaning, like, for instance, okay, this is a map that can be played TVC and this is a map that can be played PvP. Like, for instance, if you had this in the pool for PvP, that would make PvP a lot more interesting, but you can't have Zerg play here, right? So that type of thing. And I personally have always disagreed with that. I kind of like seeing the maps, even if they're a little bit imbalanced, being used for everything. But I'd love to see what you guys think about that. Post down in those comments and let me know if you think that that would be a good change to the tournament scene, to have different maps for different races, for different matchups. All right, so High Templars are coming out. We saw the 2 Dark Templars pushed back here since he did have the Observer out. But, I mean, it's not the end of the world. Like, he took a little bit of hull damage on a DT. Not that big a deal. The DTs can be utilized in a lot of ways, like scouting, denying expansions. And even later on, you can end up seeing a Dark Archon for feedback, as most PvPs that get to the point that we're at now will probably go further into Psystorm. Like, obviously, he's going Psystorm first here, and Psystorm is a pretty good counter to Reavers. But if you do go more Dragoon heavy, you do always want to go into those Reavers first. So if we ever see it, yeah, look, Templar Archives coming up. So it looks like nOOB does not want to stay forever on Reaver Tech. It looks like he does want to get into his own High Templars, which means that, yeah, maybe we end up seeing feedback, maybe not. I've seen it from some of the top pros, like, for instance, Best comes to mind. I've definitely seen him zap High Templars with feedbacks. Very cool move, especially when you open like this. Now, a bunch of cannons are out, and even though he has a Reaver, pushing up a ramp to the south with a Reaver against Static T is actually incredibly hard. Reavers kind of glitch. You can't just, like, if you have a Reaver here, you can't just right-click the cannon. You have to kind of move it forward and, like, make it stop to attack. So let's see. Oh, look at that Psystorm already. Oh my god, that's a lot of damage. And you can see that counter that I talk about in PvPs quite often. Just how strong Psystorm can be as a counterplay to Reavers. The slow shuttle having a very difficult time. One more storm goes down, that thing dies very quickly indeed. All right, so Dragoon range is on the way here for Motive. Has a few Dragoons out, ready to catch any incoming Reaver. Looks like he has some pylons down there, so maybe thinking about that additional base, but nOOB gonna find that. He'll knock that out. A few Dragoons going across, back home. Might be to catch the shuttle, because there is a shuttle coming with a Psystorm drop available, and that's going to be pretty scary. Okay, 2 more Dark Templars are being made here, this time by nOOB. I'm interested in this. Like, is he going to utilize these as Dark Templars, or maybe he's going to go for feedback? I just really want to see it, now that I've kind of talked about it a bit. Would love to see. Well, they're just sitting there for now, so maybe. Now, here comes this Storm drop. The 4 Dragoons were waiting for this. It comes in at an angle that they're not quite ready for. BT pops out immediately. Okay, that's a quality Storm right there. Kills a Dragoon as well as like three probes there. And now getting a fair amount of probes here as well. Looks like at home, everything defended very well. Noob going down in that probe count a little bit, and it's a Dark Archon coming up, guys. Feedbacks on the way. Love to see it. 7 kills on this DT, by the way. So I would say, even though he lost the shuttle and everything, this was an effective drop for sure. Lost mining time, probes killed, units killed, time delay, everything. So Motive right now moving out. Very healthy amount of High Templars. Look at the amount of storms he has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then if he brings these up, 6 and 7. So that's a pretty scary amount. He does have that +1 attack ready. +1 on both sides, in fact. Looks like Motive getting ready maybe to attack up that hill. Third base is coming. Third already up for Noob, though. And here's this Dark Archon. Definitely very powerful here. Let's see. Will he zap one? Yep. Gets the kill as well. Look, this thing is almost paid for itself already with 1 kill. And honestly, with the damage you prevented, it probably already has. Now, here we go. Storms going off. Being thrown up that hill. Can he get one onto the Reaver? That would be really, really useful. But it seems like that high ground advantage plus some defensive storms and the Reaver are going to easily push him back. Motive unable to break through at the moment. Another storm comes down and gets thrown out. I tell you, I gotta say, like, it feels like Motive is playing a more modern and interesting approach, but it feels like Noob is playing a little bit better this game so far. Like, this position is fantastic. It feels like he's holding on really, really well. Not many Reavers, like 1 Reaver, but it did well for when it was out here. And now look at the supply differential. Like, this is insane. He's up almost 40 supply right now. Noob is up almost 40 supply. I don't even know how that happened. I mean, if you're up this much supply, I would imagine he's going to go kill him now. It's kind of hard to imagine Motive just holding on to... Maybe Noob doesn't even realize how far ahead he is here, because it seems like you would simply attack move. If you know you're up 40 army supply with an army that looks like this, I mean, you're going to move right through him. But here he goes. He is going to go ahead and attack up. Let's see what can be done defensively. A couple side storms go down. Nice, decent dodge there from Motive. Pulling back. And Noob slows it down for a moment. Still up 30 supply. And that's army supply, mind you. Both of them about 50 probes. Let's take a look, zooming out. There are some chokes here. You got to be careful. I'm not sure what Noob's plan is. Maybe he's going to go around to the other side, but obviously if you're attacking through a smaller choke, your army is not going to be as valuable, right? Think about, like, 300. I'm not talking about the abs, although Protoss players have those as well. I'm talking about, you know, Thermopylae and trying to break through here. It's like, yeah, okay, you're up 30 supply or whatever, but in this small choke, 30 less supply will hold you for so long that more rallies come out, maybe more spells get cast, things like that. And it's just not a valuable usage of your units. So he is going to attack in through the smallest choke that he can find. Let's see how that works out for him. No storm on this High Templar. There are some more coming up with storms, though. And as he comes in, all right, a decent storm. Okay, that's a good counterstorm as well. But the storms, I mean, they're doing a good job of kind of weakening this army right now of Noob. Archons being made. Like, it's still a pretty heavy amount of Dragoons in here. I don't think he's going to break the base, not quite, because we are so close to the rallies here of Noob. And look, even a couple Zealots coming out make it really hard for these Dragoons. Zealots just deal so much damage and can tank so many Dragoon hits. So backing up into his cannons here once again as well. Picks off another one. Noob. Oh, rallying up some High Templars here as well. Definitely going to be very, very valuable. Noob setting up a 4th base location during all of this as well. Looks like we had a little bit of action over here that I missed. Sorry about that. But another attack in. Storms on both sides. Ooh, beautiful storm onto the defender. Still some decent storms going on up here as well, though. These Dragoons are getting whittled down. And don't forget how far away this is for Noob to send more units up. He just doesn't have a lot left over here. So it looks like the rallies, the reinforcements of Motive will push him back. Although Noob's still at an advantage. About 20 supply as we see. Has that 4th base up now. 4th is coming, like, just got started here for Motive. So it is a little ways off still. I have to keep glancing at the minimap. I'm like, whose High Templars are these? Okay, yeah, that's Motive's. Bringing them back down. Kind of a funny position to be standing. A lot of Zealots being rallied across the map. 2-1 upgrades against 2-1 upgrades. Double Forge is going for Noob now. It feels like, yeah, I mean, he just... Even though that attack, I think, was kind of poor and not the best idea, like, it still feels like he's macroing quicker and everything. Like, he does have that additional base. He has the 2 forges going, which is helpful. I mean, upgrades don't scale quite as well on Protoss as they do on, like, Terran, for instance, but definitely going to be useful. Zealot coming in, trying to snipe a High Templar there. Doesn't quite get it. Good idea, though, kind of like you see with Zerglings in Protoss for Sur. Motive now going to have his 4 bases up and running shortly. Got to send his probes down. Here they go. Kind of interesting to see how many Dragoons Motive is actually adding in now. But against the heavy Archon count, that actually can be really, really useful. Dragoons actually really wreck Archons. So, I mean, if he's using the Dragoons specifically to target down Archons and the Zealots to clean everything else up, that's going to go very, very well for him. But, well, to be fair, it's still a 30 supply difference. So, I mean, you know, kind of go well for him. Like, that's what you want. That's the engagement that you want to have. But does he have enough units to do it? His quantity has a quality all its own. Now, Zealot coming into this 3rd base location, kind of annoying. He will be able to clean that up. Okay, a few storms come out. Ooh, zapping a few High Templars there. Really, really well done. Let's see if another storm gets off. Doesn't look like it here. All right, Archon being morphed. And Motive is going to catch up in supply. You know, that's one of the great equalizers in StarCraft. Even if you get quite far behind your opponent, you can oftentimes end up catching up in supply. And suddenly we are even as far as supply goes. So kudos to Motive for catching up in that way. Wasn't sure he was going to. It felt like the game was going to be over, like, what was it, like 6 minutes ago? Now here we go, attacking in. Noob with lots of Archons. Very Dragoon heavy here on the other side. Is that going to help Motive enough? Well, his Dragoons are cutting through the Archons pretty darn well. Some storms going off as well, getting full damage. The Archons are all going to pop from here. So Noob may be a little bit wasteful, feeling like his advantage is enough to do an attack like that. But now suddenly these kind of later game Dragoons, where you don't see them as often, are doing a fantastic job. Now so many Dragoons are out. A lot of High Templars coming down, though. Let's see if they can get those valuable storms off. A couple go down. Nice run away. Looks like he will end up picking off these Archons as well. So, I mean, looking at this game, I've seen a lot of these guys play Protoss vs. Terran specifically, since I watch, like, a lot of Terran games, but not as much PvP from them. It seems like Noob mechanically is so good PvP, like he's doing a fantastic job keeping his macro going, he's expanding faster and everything, but like the compositions he's making aren't quite as brainy, right? Like he attacked with like 8 Archons and a Mass Dragoon and that type of thing. It's like, yeah, you have the advantage, but you got to be careful about that. And suddenly we're in this position where really it feels like it could be anyone's game. Another base coming up right now. for Motive. Noob, of course, has another Nexus a little bit quicker. Might even go for another one soon. Lots of gateways in both main bases. Observer catch there. And what did I say, by the way? Ultimate Stream. Definitely, this type of map can give you an interest in PvP. Although, yeah, it feels like it should have been a normal speed, though, based on the supply differential that we saw from Noob. All right, now coming up, leading with those High Templars, kind of a common move. You see him running forward and throwing storms down onto his opponent's High Templars. High Templars basically can't get out from under a storm before they die. So it's a smart tactic, and tries to pick off some. Now, here we go. Brings up an Archon to help out against those Zealots, but not much anti-Zealot here for Motive. Is he going to have enough to cut through everything? His own Zealot's actually doing quite a job there as well. More Zealots and Archons rallying up now. Storms go down, but he does micro back out of them. All right, pushes him back once again. Very, very close in supply right now. Noob is up in workers slightly, but pretty heavily down in army supply now. So maybe he can refill that army pretty quickly here. 3-2 upgrades against 3-2-1. 3-1-2, I don't know how we would call that. Normally I'm not calling out plasma shield upgrades. It's very uncommon to see. Got to be in a really big game to see those, but I would say definitely useful here. Okay, where is the next base? It looks like... Okay, so the top right is being claimed right now by Noob. Motive sending a lot of Zealots out into the map. The other side quite maxed right now, even though they've got a lot of mining going on, very healthy economies overall. It's been enough scuffles, there's no real bank or anything. Oh, wow, a Dark Templar comes in and does the job it was probably designed for and assassinates a couple High Templars there. Very well done. And now Noob pulling back. Is he going to end up losing this game? I mean, I would have bet anything that he was going to take it a little bit ago. Now, a lot of Zealots actually being sent up to this base. He's got to be careful about that, though, because now suddenly Noob pushing his entire army up. Storms absolutely everywhere. It is a hurricane in here. So many Zealots running into each other and being stormed all over the place. Look at that. The flanking storm comes up. Archon being morphed there as well on top of that army. And it looks like Motive will end up killing off this Nexus, but the rest of his army is suffering because of that. Noob is going to be able to run over these Dragoons. The Dragoons get micro back kind of nicely. Only leaves a couple Zealots there to finish that Nexus off. Brings the rest back to fight. The Archon, though, tanking quite a bit there. Another storm going down onto those Zealots. And Motive trying to be careful here not to overextend. Now, he kills this Nexus, but Noob is only down 4 workers and has a new one up already. Motive is making another of his own as well. So 6 base there, and, well, it was 6 base, but not any longer. So kind of like a 5 base going on. Noob suddenly macroing up very strongly, coming forward with his entire army. This ramp being held right now by Motive, but this definitely Noob can push into it. A little bit wary of those Psy Storms, though, and there are a lot, so you can't really blame him for it. All right, storms going down on both sides. Looks like Motive's starting to lose his entire army here. Can his base be picked off as well? That would be huge. Pulls back to his photon cannons. 3 photon cannons do add a lot of damage, so we see Noob pull back for now. All right, looks like he does run away from a Zealot that was harassing that base. Picks that off now as well. More probes being transferred. Very, very close game that we're looking at. No more upgrades being gotten, right? So we have 3-1-3 here. We have 3-1-2 here. Not a very big difference. Economy-wise, Motive up in workers by 8. Do his patches actually support that? It's not that big a difference as far as economy goes. Oh, God, some very bad pathing there. Loses an Archon completely for free. A couple hits on the other ones, but not that big a deal. The Archon for free, though, obviously not something you want to have happen in such a closely contested game. Ooh, a little DT Zealot drop. Look at this cute move. Going after the Robo. I feel like I'm watching a StarCraft 2 PvP right now. This was a very common move for some time in StarCraft 2. You pick that off, they don't have that many observers out, and suddenly you've got a big advantage. So very, very cool move. And now going after some of the upgrades as well. Going after that +3 armor. That would be a nice pick. NOOB moving up with the majority of his army. He is taking another base up here. By the way, bottom left hasn't been taken all yet. We do have a probe here, though. A cannon as well as a Robo going down. Looks like he did bring over some detection to clear that out. NOOB being a bit more fluid. His entire army basically staying together. Motive having to split a little bit more here. Continues to run units up into this base, then back down to join the main group. NOOB pulls back as Motive regroups his entire army. Motive's starting to get quite a bit more supply now. Oh, God. Oh, God. That was 2 Dark Templars and 2 High Templars, if I'm not mistaken, in that shuttle. That is a big loss to NOOB. Some sort of misclick there. He can't have meant to do that. Very obviously not where you want to send the shuttle. Another shuttle does get started, though. More Dragoons coming out from Motive. Kind of a missed storm. Second storm does a little bit better. Gets the High Templar damaged a bit, as well as the Observer. These bases being taken do make me a bit nervous here for Motive. Storm on an Observer. Okay. See if that actually comes into play. High Templar's coming up, throwing down those storms. Doesn't quite get this High Templar. Oh my God, he's trying so hard. Okay, no, it actually dodges. Oh my God, just on the edge there. A lot of damage dealt with that counter storm as well. Oh my God, getting stuck on the terrain. Storms absolutely everywhere. Motive, though, up 20 supply right now. Definitely feels like a battle he can take. I mean, just looking at the armies, but only part of his army engaging. Throws down some very good storms. Eats a lot of the health off of the bottom part of that army. Another nice storm onto those Zealots. They do get pulled back a little bit, but running back up into Archons, they're going to get shredded either way. And it looks like Motive going to take this game over, and I think he's won it with that, honestly. NOOB with no real bank left. Look at this, 3K in the bank for Motive. He has a real opportunity here to just run the map at this point. I mean, if he just produces nonstop, that's 30 Zealots he can make. That is not something you're going to be able to stop as NOOB with like 300 minerals. 3 Zealots do not beat 30, that's for sure. Still a lot of very careful army movement here from Motive. NOOB trying to get his economy back online. Looks like Motive going to finally take this bottom left. NOOB finds it, though. All right, going up for the break. A nice couple Psystorms go down. Some real damage to that Dragoon army. NOOB coming in, flanking with what he's got. Of course, Motive bringing in some new units here as well. Looks like this base going to be picked off. High Templar running towards that main. No energy for a Psystorm, though. And NOOB, his supply absolutely plummeting down to 90. No real bank. GG. Motive wins an epic one.